start? Okay. All right, my name is Abdullah Haimour. I'm here to introduce the presenters for today. So this is a presentation being done by a non-profit organization called Right to Grow. The founder of this organization is Omar Lalani. Omar Lalani is an engineer and a businessman, and he's been actually a close acquaintance of ours for a long time with Beaconsfield Mall. We also are going to have guest speakers, Dr. Alex Pavlenko, and he's a dentist. And the other two professionals we have are Liana and Evelyn. Liana Enstrom and Evelyn Tilroad. Where are you?
I'm right here.
There's Evelyn.
Evelyn will join. No, Evelyn will join us in a little bit here.
All right, sounds good. So they're going to be talking to you about what it means to have the right to grow. There's Omar. Sorry. Yes, this is basically about the health of the children in the upper airway of the breathing apparatus. So I'll leave it to them.
I'm going to say it in Arabic.
Translation.
أهلا وسهلا فيكم. أيوة أكيد فهمتوا بالإنجليزي أنا عارف الإنجليش بس بدي أحكي بالعربي شوي. ضيوفنا حيتكلموا عن أشياء في الأطفال تبدأ بكير فلحتى الأهل ينتبهوا إنه في شغلات كتير بشوفوها بالطفل بفكروها إشي عادي وما بتأثر عليهم بس يكبروا بس هي أشياء بتكون major things. هو حيحكي بهذا الموضوع والاخت اللي معه حتتكلم بنفس الموضوع. اهلا وسهلا فيكم وان شاء الله انه كلنا بنستفيد من هذا. تفضل.
Okay, thank you. You can all hear me okay? All right, okay. So my name is Omar Lalani, and I'm going to talk to you about facial growth. And I don't think it's talked about a lot, and even enough. But I think in my tiny little opinion, it's probably the most important part of someone's health. Because how long can you live without food? Days, weeks, even a month or more? Without water? Days, weeks? How about without air? Minutes. And if you knew how the growth of your face was tied to the growth of your airway, how well you breathe, then you'd understand why craniofacial and facial growth and development is so important. So, how many people know today what our faces looked like, say, 500 years ago? Have you seen skulls from 500 years ago? Or pictures of drawings or anything? I mean, there wouldn't no pictures back then, but
Yeah.
okay. I'll show you some faces that look close, that have a close resemblance to what our faces looked like 500 years ago. And our faces were very different 500 years ago. They're very, very different. But in 500 years, that's not enough time for evolution. So how did our faces change so quickly without evolution? What else causes the body to change? Can someone tell me? Tell me. What can cause the body to change? The human figure or health to change over time? Anybody? You?
I don't know, getting old.
Take a guess, take a guess.
Getting old, do you mean like by?
The whole human race, for everybody.
The way eating?
Yes. Food. She said it. The way we eat. It's the way we eat, not necessarily what we eat. So that's kind of like my intro. So Right to Grow is a nonprofit that I started with a bunch of people. And the whole goal of this nonprofit is to educate the public to make sure that every kid grows with a healthy upper airway, which means a properly grown face, so they can breathe, so they can live and thrive and live a good life. So what happened 500 years ago? So this Canadian dentist, Dr. Weston Price, He traveled the world, and he lived in New Zealand, and he took these photographs. And if you look at these faces, most of you can, it's a small picture. Next time I'll bring it up on here, but if you look at these faces, yeah, you'll pass it, Nita? Thank you. Those faces are well developed. They're well grown. They're forward grown. And they have good airways. You can kind of look at the faces later on, but this is one generation. They have perfectly straight teeth. They have all their teeth. And they're perfectly straight. The next generation, they were fed a modern diet. They got crooked teeth. The next generation, they were fed the same diet as these people, but they have even more crooked teeth, and their faces didn't grow properly. And when you have a face like that, you have a small airway. Their bones didn't grow, but their tongues grew. Their tongue is the right size. Their teeth grew, but where does all that fit? It's supposed to fit in a fully grown mouth. Because when you sleep, your tongue relaxes. Your whole body goes into paralysis in your deepest stages of sleep. And your tongue falls back. And if your mouth and your face is too small for your tongue, you stop breathing, you choke, your tongue cuts off your airway. And that's called obstructive sleep apnea, and it can kill you. It's a death sentence. It's a terrible thing to have. And a lot of people today have it, adults. It's like 15% of the population is diagnosed. How many are undiagnosed? How many people have minor sleep apnea? They just wake up tired. They don't know why. They take a coffee, they go to work, they rush, they're late, they're stressed. They come home, they're exhausted, and they do this every single day. That's what happens when you have an underdeveloped upper airway. It can cost you your life, your productivity, your joy. So I know it because I have it. I'm treated now, but I had it for like a long time. And I'll tell you why I got it, but when I found out why I had it, that's what made me say, hey, I have to speak up and tell people how important this is. So if you look at these faces, you'll see they're underdeveloped. You come after the presentation, take a look, but they're underdeveloped. But it's like the average face. They're long faces, they're long and they're flat. So their faces didn't grow properly. So why did they grow? So Weston Price, this dentist, he looked at these people and he said it's gotta be the diet. And they were eating organic foods, healthy foods, all parts of the animal. And in the city, they were eating a lot of sugars, processed foods, soft foods. One food he mentioned was hand-liven bread. Bread made by hand. And fast forward to 1971, an anthropologist named Dr. Robert Crocini, he questioned that. He said, in India, they don't eat animals. And if I go in the farm, they have faces like this, and if I go in the city, they have faces like this. They have the same diet. What is it? What really is it? So he lived there, and he saw the bread they ate. In the farms, they had hand-leavened bread, which is just what Dr. Weston Price said. It wasn't necessarily what they were eating, but how they were making it. And in the farms, they don't have big mills to process millet into a flour. In the city, it's like a dust, and it makes a very soft flatbread. So the bread is soft in the cities. And the infants who eat that bread, they don't use their chewing muscles. And their faces don't develop. He took squirrels. He gave them a soft diet, and they had crooked teeth. And he looked at squirrels eating the normal nuts they eat, and their faces grew perfectly with perfectly straight teeth. So animals know how to eat. We stopped knowing how to eat. And he went to the farm, and he saw the faces there. And they were eating tough bread. And it's the toughness of the diet that makes the face grow. So these bones, like not this bone, but this bone and this whole area, it's a different kind of bone structure than every other bone in your body. These bones are soft, and they're always soft, they move, they're flexible. So the chewing action of the lower jaw pushing up against the upper jaw, along with the swallowing action of the tongue pressing up, is what makes the face grow, which is what makes the airway grow, which is what makes the person thrive in life, or gives them a main ingredient to thriving in life. So there's a big connection between how we make our food and how well we live. Now I'm going to show you how important it is. You'll see an X-ray. What does it look like when a skull is underdeveloped? Do you guys see the difference between these two skulls? Yeah? That's a very well-developed skull, okay? It's grown forward. The face is out. The airway's open. You know when that person sleeps at night, there's room for the tongue to fall back and not choke them. This person here, they have no airway. This person chokes at night. This person can barely hold down a job. This person got fired from every job they had because they were always late, they were always sleeping at work, they were always tired. Now I don't know who this person is, but my guess is that this person does pretty well. Or they can do well, they have the ability to do well. That's tough foods, soft foods. That's soft foods with some interference. So I'll tell you about the interference, which is not the main part of the presentation, but I want to spend a couple minutes on interference, because interference can happen. So a long time ago, like 200 years ago, orthodontists would look at kids who had crooked teeth, who had buck teeth, and they said Mother Nature made a mistake. Mother Nature made a mistake. We'll let this person pass. So orthodontists said, Mother Nature gave you too many teeth. That's why they're crowded. Let's pull your teeth out. Let's make your face and mouth even smaller. That's a bad thing to do. When kids are very buck-toothed, and by the way, they're buck-toothed naturally. So when a baby's born, the chin is back. The upper jaw finishes growing at the age of 12, 13, 14. The lower jaw, boom, grows really fast in the teens. So if you see a kid who's like this, it doesn't mean there's a problem. If you see a kid who's like this, that's a problem. This is natural growth. What is this? This is mouth breathing. You're opening a mouth to breathe. They look like their upper front teeth are too far forward. They actually open their mouth to breathe because their upper jaw is too far back, which means they can't get enough air through their nose, probably because of a soft diet. But when orthodontists look at a kid like this, they think that you have to pull this back. They think they're overgrown. It's a big myth. It's a myth that started, I don't know when, more than 100 years ago probably. But this is what they do to kids who they think need help to escape that myth. They give them a growth stunting appliance. So one of the things that Right to Grow does, and I have to give you a disclaimer, I don't speak for the whole industry, okay? I don't speak for anybody in the industry. I just speak for Right to Grow. So we're trying to put a stop to this. This is interference. And interference shrinks the face, shrinks the airway. It shrinks lifespan. So we have a mission, which is to educate the public on how important it is to get your kids' faces to grow. Second, how to do it so their faces do grow. And third, how to stop the interference with normal natural growth, which is, this is interference, and also soft foods. Soft foods for infants is interference. It's interference because it stops natural development. And we're going to give you some solutions too. Like if you're an adult and your face didn't grow properly, then there are people who can help you. So there's a dentist in town, Dr. Alex Pavlenko, he specializes in that. He'll be speaking. And we have 2 myofunctional therapists, and they can help infants have better facial growth and development, and they work with adults as well. So just a little bit more on interference, because I'm obsessed with it. Basically, you see her face before and after? That's what happened with interference. They gave her one of those things I just showed you, the headgear, and her whole face got shrunk. Her whole face shrunk. So what happened to her airway? Can anybody imagine what happened to her airway? What happened to her throat? That's another example. That's before, that's after. So that's interference. So make sure you don't allow any interference in your child's growth. And by the way, that industry that interferes, they have people in there who do the opposite. So you can, and this is myofunctional therapy, which Evelyn and Liana will tell you about. These faces were developed in the early 1900s without that negative interference. They were given tongue exercises, facial exercises. It's hard to see, it's really hard to see. These are too small, but that's a really good example. Like you can see how her face grew forward. This gentleman here, that's before, that's after. You can see, come back, okay? Come and talk to me and look at the posters. They gave him exercises and their faces started to grow better because these are soft, these bones are soft. And if you imagine water hitting a rock, it changes the shape of the rock, like a waterfall. So your muscles of the face do the same thing to the bones of the face. And I've nothing left.
Okay.
So the next person who will speak is Dr. Alex Pavlenko. He's a dentist in Edmonton, and he's going to show you some actual practical things that they do to adults to bring those bones forward, which then allows your lower jaw to come forward, which brings your tongue forward, which opens up your airway, which is what many people need today. So, Dr. Pavlenko.